Right, so let's start this 85 slide presentation. So, first of all, I'll talk about our story at the University of Leeds so far with the Jadu platform. Give you an update on our web CMS strategy. It's rather simple, really. The team I manage at the University of Leeds at the moment, some current and future web projects that we have going on at the university at the moment, where of course we are now and what we're planning to do in the future. So, it is our 10th anniversary with Jadu. I don't know if Siraj will remember, but back in 2006 he came to present on his own at a European procurement exercise for CMS at the University of Leeds. And it was his speech that he delivered in a very passionate way that drew us essentially to the Jadu platform. And of course, in 2007, this is roughly what our web estate looked like. And it really did look very close to that. We had thousands of websites across our estate. We had a mixture of platforms. We had all sorts of homegrown HTML static sites, all sorts of homegrown CMSs, and just a plethora of sites. That was kind of scary for us. It was a scary concept to think about moving in one particular direction. So, the story so far. Back in 2007, we signed our contract. February 2007, it seems like an absolute lifetime away. We installed their 1.7 product. I don't know if any of you remember that product, if you've been that long with Jadu. But essentially, 6 months later, we then reintroduced a new corporate website on that platform. So within 6 months, we'd built a site completely and installed it as well. So essentially, post that site, we were thinking, okay, well, what's next? We need to sort of think about other sites. What other sites can we put on this platform? And we hit a bit of a blocker, so to speak, initially. So we had this requirement for multiple sites to sit on the same platform. And at present, we had two potential options. Those two options were essentially to install separate instances of Jadu themselves, so big lots of the same instance, so to speak, or to use Jadu Galaxies. And essentially, they were the two options we were given, and through discussions with Jadu, we decided to go down the Galaxy route. And thus was born the Jadu CMS 110. And essentially what that CMS provided was a Galaxy model that was fit for purpose in this particular case. So in other words, we had the option of sharing content, etc. through that model. So this is exactly what it roughly looked like. So of course we have a single CMS instance in this particular case. We have the core CMS at top level, which contains no website whatsoever. A CMS without a website, I hear you say. That's rather strange. What that big square at the top houses is essentially all of Jadu's core code, all of our modular core code, and that's it. Nothing else. Just everything core that is going to be reusable. And then below that, empty CMS, so to speak, we have a series of galaxies. So in this case, our corporate website and numerous other galaxies that sit under that particular CMS. So in this case, each one of these galaxies has its own database. So if we have a bespoke need that's largely just used for that particular website, we'll build it within that particular website. If we have a need that allows us to, for example, share a component at top level, we'll put it at top level, and we'll use that component multiple times within those particular sites, so thus sharing that particular content. It also provides a massive advantage to us in that the ability to spin up these galaxies is extremely quick. So within an hour or so, we can have a galaxy created with a domain name associated with it, and off the website goes, so to speak. Something that we found challenging when we were trying to install separate instances. So essentially that's a model that we moved to. Then post that we decided, well, we need a new web strategy. We need a simpler web strategy, something that people can actually understand rather than just being 50 pages of stuff that people never read. We moved to Continuum, in this case about 18 months ago, so we moved to Continuum 24. And ever since we've been upgrading that 24 platform using Jadu's Meteor product. I think they have Meteor 2 now as well, which we are looking into at the moment. So essentially, that is our web strategy. It's not 50 pages long. It's a few points that essentially guided us to where we really needed to go. So, enforce a common CMS platform across all of our major websites. Reasonably simple. Consolidate the thousands of websites that we had and move them towards that platform. And adopt a CMS platform that can handle a number of different websites, but keyly shares a significant amount of functionality and design. Something as a university that we've needed, because we have so many websites that share that commonality and common look and feel. We needed a mechanism with which to do that. And this provided it for us. And this all hinged essentially off a core strategic need, and that is that the university's websites are one of our primary communication channels in the global market for education, and a major gateway for student recruitment. And a lot of universities nowadays, as they have in the past as well, are driving towards this international presence as well, and the thought of bringing in international students is absolutely key, it's paramount, and of course Web can provide us with that. So, what do we have at the moment? We have two instances of Jadu. We have an old 110 instance, and we have our new Continuum, in this case 57 instance. I know, we are now 10 versions behind. That's rather scary, isn't it? Things move very quickly. We have a plethora of sites that sit across those two platforms. The corporate website, of course, the courses website that Suraj mentioned earlier, a series of faculties, medicine, health, etc., and a number of corporate services as well. So we house an awful lot of websites on these platforms. So, server architecture. So for the techies out there, I don't know how many of you there are, but essentially this details some of the flow, some of the server architecture that we have. So essentially we have local development environments. We have a major development environment that pushes up through to a test environment or staging environment and through into production. You'll notice that some of the key things to mention here are the staging and production are largely mirrors of each other. So essentially you have the same load balance web servers sitting in different data centres across Leeds, and essentially all of our Jadu patches all get pushed up through this development environment into our staging environment where it's system tested and then through into production. The final point to note really is our Sandbox environment, and it's this environment that when we're building a site, our customers use that environment to essentially build their content, and it essentially allows us to perform and then to perform UAT on our sites so we can then push those through staging and into production. So essentially we've built our own architecture. So, what team do I manage? Essentially I manage a team of around 13 people. I say around because contractors come and go, so to speak. But at the moment I've got 13. I've got a series of PHP developers, I've got a series of .NET developers, UX and UI developers, and of course support personnel, including an analyst that's used for requirements gathering, etc., etc. And it's this team alongside our Windows and Unix teams and Linux teams that manage and maintain these Jadu instances, including upgrades, everything on premise. This is something as a university we wanted right from the start. Now of course we are looking at cloud, we are looking at other options of course moving forward, but at the moment we have a very robust on-premise server situation. So actually, just to mention there, I think the top word is important there. We are self-sufficient. I've got a team that can manage this platform largely on its own. When we talk about support contracts with Jadu, they turn around and say, well, to be honest with you, we don't talk to you when it comes to support and things like that. We only hear from you when you want new features. Talk about technology, talk about what's happening in the future. So a lot of the dialogue we have with Jadu is primarily about the future, what we can do with the platform. And as a result, over the years, we really have become a bit of a developer component and sort of good relationship with Jadu in that respect. Okay, current and future projects. So I'll briefly talk about some of these. So at the moment we've got a large programme of work to roll out all of our faculties into the new CMS platform. That sounds rather simple, but these faculties are enormous. There are numbers of schools, there are thousands of academics, each with their own take on what they want from these sites. So moving to a single platform for faculties in the new Continuum CMS was absolutely key for us. So in this case, some of the drivers for this were to provide a consistent look and feel across all faculties. They all look different, with different colours, different feels, different forms. That was paramount. Also to provide a consistent, reusable set of functionality. I mentioned before the Galaxy model that we had. Everything's at that top level. And also to provide an efficient and effective way to manage and maintain our sites. So that's a big program of work that's going on. It's been going on for about probably close to a year now, and we're going to finish probably midpoint next year. A large program of work, lots of customer interaction, and lots of use of agile frameworks to deliver that particular project. In future, we're looking at a big rollout of the corporate services as well. So post the faculty one, will be looking straight at corporate services, so the HR, finances of the world. We're looking at rolling those into the platform as well. So, where are we? Well, less spaghetti to start off with. An awful lot less spaghetti. We have a fewer number of major websites, so we've looked at a real consolidation approach. We used to have so many websites, around corporate services, etc. And we wanted to look at ways in which we can consolidate those. Portals, if you like, mini portals, whichever you want to call it. So an example of that was, we had around 17 student education services websites that dealt with things like anything from counselling, problems at sort of university, how do you find your way around university, etc., etc. And all of these services, all 17 of them, had separate websites with different looks and feels. The user journey was poor. So essentially what we did was amalgamate all 17 sites into two. A student-facing portal, if you like, and a staff-facing portal. So 17 to 2, that's not bad. And from what we can see from our feedback, it's been received very well. But of course it all looks the same, fonts, typographies, looks and feels, colours, to ensure that students know that they're on the same journey, on the same website, so to speak. So, of course, we've made an awful lot of progress towards a common CMS e-forms platform, so the Jadu CMS and X-Forms Pro. We've made significant progress towards providing a consistent design framework and code base across all of our major websites. So you may see people like the BBC with their GEL framework. We've done something very similar with that at the university, so we call it the Web Toolkit, and we've rolled that out across. So any site that's new will get that simple design toolkit applied to it. We've built our own Twig templating engine, and of course when Jadu released their Twig templating engine, we'll move to that and we'll look at building on that, building a relationship once again, and ensuring that we can help Jadu deliver that as well. So this all sounds great. You'll think, wow, you're doing lots, etc., etc., but there's an awful lot further work to go. And some of the presentations I've seen today around augmented reality, etc., etc., I think that'd be really, really good to look at some of things like that. Look at campus journeys. We're looking at mapping all of the buildings. We've already done campus. We've brought Google in to map our campus, so you can walk around our campus now. We want to do something similar for buildings and provide technology so people can walk around buildings or see map floor plans of buildings. And of course, bringing in AR for something like that would be absolutely fantastic. So this is his School of Maths. This particular professor sits here, etc., etc. Okay, so this gives you a pictorial representation, essentially, of some of our sites at the moment. So at the top, you've got the corporate website. Just at the bottom left there, you've got our courses website. And on the right there, you've got our soon-to-be-released physical sciences faculty. So this all uses the same Web Toolkit component. All that happens is we snap different widgets in, as you can see, so a course search for that, a mechanism of display information within the corporate website, and of course a mechanism of navigating to schools, etc., within the physical sciences faculty. They all look largely dissimilar, so essentially what you're doing there is you're moving between each website, knowing you're still at the University of Leeds, you're at the same brand, you're not going off and seeing completely different things. Okay, so people like statistics, so I thought I'd throw a slide together to show some of the statistics. So we have two instances of the Jadu CMS, and at the moment we have around 20 galaxies sitting within those CMS instances. In about 2 years' time, I think that will probably be closer to 40 galaxies, to give you an idea of how many galaxies we'll have. Now, bear in mind, some of those galaxies, those individual galaxies, have been amalgamations of 17, 20, 40 different websites. So, of course, there's an awful lot of consolidation going on. Roughly 1 million people accessed our Jadu websites last month. And we have around 6,500 users on campus that can log into the admin control panel for Jadu. And a huge proportion of those, as you can see, are staff profiles. So we've built a bespoke module, of course put that at top level, that allows staff within every faculty to go and update their profile, put information about themselves, websites, etc., etc. And this has all been delivered through a custom module, again put at top level. So I again mentioned the courses website. Well, we have just over 1,000 courses at the moment within that particular system that interacts with our core system as well. So essentially, all of that is pulled through API into Jadu and delivered through that platform. And we have around 230 forms in our XFP product at the moment as well. So we widely use forms. Okay, so what's next? Well, of course, we're going to continue to upgrade our CMS. We're looking at the moment of quarterly releases, but of course, if something comes in that we desperately need, for example, the URL restructure that was mentioned by Sarah earlier, we'll of course upgrade as soon as we can. So as soon as that comes in, we'll simply schedule some time in, a couple of days, and there we go, it'll be upgraded and we'll use that. So that's absolutely paramount. We're going to look to install XFP Continuum. We only have 1.3 at the moment, so we're going to look at installing their Continuum product. And of course, this wonderful GDPR that's going to come in, we're going to have to work with Jadu to make sure that we are compliant with that moving forward, and that's a massive thing for the university. Massive. And of course, we'll complete our faculty rollout project through Continuum and our corporate services program. That's just to mention just a few things. Of course, there's an awful lot of other interesting things that will be going on sort of moving forward into the future. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
Do you have an overview of all the websites at Leeds University? I know that wouldn't come into Jadu.
Sure, yes, we have a system actually that I built when I was a developer actually that essentially sort of spiders all of the universities, the IPs and all of the university sites, and we can use that search engine, I called it Site Search, wonderful name I thought, but that allows you to simply search those sites and index those sites, and that dynamically works out what sites are.
And eventually they'd come under the Jadu CMS?
All of our major sites, so all of our corporate sites like HR, like I mentioned before, will all come under the Jadu CMS. And it's the Galaxies model that provides us with that option to do that and do that a lot quicker than we could in the past.
But the faculty ones will eventually come under that as well?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Every single faculty, every single corporate service will sit under that particular site.
So I just wanted to ask a question about one of the stats you put up there, that you said you've got 6,500 people who can log in to the control centre.
Something scary like that.
Yeah, and I suppose my question is, we often when we're out get talked about centralised or decentralised content authoring and quality of what gets written. So how do you control the quality of what's appearing on your website if you've got that many different content authors?
Yeah, it's a good question. Fortunately, there's a wonderful thing called workflow. And we have a peer-to-peer review system. So other academics, in the case of the staff profiles, have an option to essentially look at what other academics can have done, and off the back of that, sort of almost sign each other's sites off, so to speak. Now, of course, some of the heavier content sites, some the top-level core faculty sites, etc., are moderated. Primarily, the external-facing ones are moderated by marketing departments. So each marketing department within each faculty will essentially moderate that content from an external point of view.
Thank you very much, Anthony.